criticism of Islam is regarded as somehow dangerous?
Because we fear Islam. Only the liberal women that are being stoned for the crime of rape, an identity crisis. Islam knows who they are. They know what they want. They want a global caliphate.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kembali lagi di Takut channel. Lawrence Thornton Peters adalah seorang jurnalis, penulis, dan pembuat film dokumenter asal Kanada yang dikenal karena pandangannya yang kontroversial dan sering memancing perdebatan. Dalam sebuah wawancara, Lawrence mengungkapkan ketakutannya jika Islam mendominasi di Eropa. Menurutnya, dominasi Islam akan mengancam segala bentuk kebebasan yang selama ini dinikmati oleh masyarakat Eropa. Ia berpendapat bahwa nilai-nilai kebebasan berekspresi, hak-hak perempuan, dan berbagai macam hak-hak lain akan terkikis jika Islam menjadi kekuatan dominan di benua tersebut. Pandangan ini telah mendorong Lawrence untuk mengutarakan pendapatnya secara vokal dan seringkali dengan nada provokatif. Ia yakin bahwa ketakutannya ini beralasan untuk memperingatkan masyarakat Eropa untuk ancaman yang ia lihat semakin nyata. Karena hal inilah membuatnya menjadi salah satu figur publik yang dikenal menyebarkan Islamofobia, yaitu rasa takut dan kebencian terhadap Islam dan pemeluknya.
So what is happening in the world? Why is Islam protected? And yet criticism of Islam is regarded as somehow dangerous?
Because we fear Islam. Islam is the dominant cultural force right now. Right now, the West has an identity crisis. We don't even know what our laws are going to be. We don't know what our values are. We've kind of rejected Christianity. We're erasing our statues, tearing our history down, changing our anthems like we have in Canada. We have an identity crisis. Islam knows who they are. They know what they want. They want a global caliphate. And so Islam is dominating the Western world. And right now, this is just an inkling of what the future is going to look like. They're still a minority in Western countries. And while all these people will tout open borders, multiculturalism, as soon as Islamists become over 50% of your population, you will see your country looking exactly like any Islamic nation in the world. And suddenly the LGBT activists won't be as happy about this open borders situation. Suddenly the liberal women that are being stoned for the crime of rape will start to realize what they've gotten themselves into. And I fear that it may have to get to these horrific points before people wake up and open their eyes.
But Lauren, let me ask you, I mean, we've seen, for example, in Sweden, that the native-born white Swedes will be a minority, I think by 2040 is what they're saying, but in part, not just because of migration, but because of the fertility of the immigrant population. And so I've got two questions for you. One is, what does Lawrence Southern say is the right approach? I mean, if you will say you're not a racist, as the sort of accusers will make out, but you are seemingly supporting the right of European culture to defend itself against adversaries and competitors. But B, if a culture is simply much more fertile, then doesn't it deserve to inherit the earth?
Well, not when it was never put to a referendum. No one in Sweden or Canada or Australia, for that matter, was asked, do you want people with a completely different culture to immigrate here and create their own cultural enclaves? No one was asked. We believe in the right to sovereignty for every nation and every people in the world. And we respect that. No one is ever telling the Japanese, destroy your culture. You must bring in tons of Koreans. You must bring in tons of Africans, or you are a racist, bigoted nation. No one would say this to Nigerians. They have the right to protect their culture. In fact, we consider it cultural genocide against people like the native population in Canada when they were forcefully assimilated into the European population. So why do European nations not have the right to protect their sovereignty and their identity, their history and their future? We shouldn't see it any different than any other race. I don't put Europeans on a pedestal. I say they have just as much right to preserve their identity as we believe the importance of the indigenous identities, the importance of African identities, of Asian identities.
Part of the problem which that your policeman friend unwittingly stumbled across was he used the term highly religious. He said you can't walk down outside the mosque, Lauren, because they're highly religious, as if this somehow gave a force field around their ideas and their attitude and their culture. You know, we can debate how religious Islam is or isn't, but it's the political ideology that and the cultural identity that you're criticizing, not the religion. Yet the religion acts again as a force field to prevent criticism, correct?
Right. Well, people have to understand where these religions came. If someone said it was a highly Christian area, I wouldn't be concerned, because Christianity is actually what formed much of the West and most of our freedoms. And the reason for that is Christianity is based on choice. You can choose to follow God. You can choose to say goodbye. You choose to eat from the tree of good and evil, right? It's all based on these choices that you make, and God gives you that free choice. Whereas Islam has always been based on submission. You submit to Allah, and you cannot leave or you will be killed. So is that a religion that is compatible with Western culture? No. And very well have your faith. If everyone agrees with you and wants to live in a society under Sharia law, have that. But there was never a referendum here in Australia to bring that here. It was enforced and imposed on us by a small group of elites, as it has been all over much of the Western world.
Now, you argue that that is Sharia in Lakemba, so you would say that because you're not allowed to speak or walk down there, that basically, in essence, Sharia law is kicking in, or that's the future of it, or how do you see it?
Right, that would be a small inkling of what Sharia would look like. You're not allowed to criticize Islam in this area, but let me tell you right now, that is not even a small bit of the horrors that could happen in the future. You could get places that look like the suburbs of Paris, where police officers... I've been to the suburbs of Paris, and the police laughed at me and told me, if you go in there, we cannot help you. And I was with mainstream media journalists, and they were telling me, put your hair up, hide it, Lauren. Hide your hair, we are going to get in trouble. And within an hour of being there, a man came up to us, luckily a nice man in this area, and he said, they are talking about getting weapons and talking about killing you if you don't leave right now.
Banyak pihak yang beranggapan bahwa sikap dan pernyataannya tersebut justru suatu ketidaktahuannya tentang komunitas muslim di Eropa. Lauren tidak hanya mengungkapkan ketakutannya melalui tulisan dan wawancara saja, tetapi juga melalui aksi turun ke jalan. Salah satu tindakannya yang kontroversial adalah mencoba memprovokasi para feminis yang menurutnya seharusnya lebih peduli terhadap ancaman yang ditimbulkan oleh Islam terhadap hak-hak perempuan, di mana waktu itu ia tak henti-hentinya memberikan pertanyaan jebakan pada mereka.
Hey everyone, okay, so I'm here back to my roots of starting on YouTube at a women's march once again. Yes, they are still going on despite rape still not being legal in the West. And this time I'm going to be asking a bit of a different question. Instead of asking about rape culture, instead of asking about feminist values, I'm going to be asking the most difficult would you rather question out there. Would you rather have women's rights or Islam? Let's see how they react. Women's rights or Islam?
I'm not. Is that a real choice? Is that a real question? That's ridiculous. No.
Why is it ridiculous? I think it's a very serious question.
Considering there's only two options.
Have women's rights or Islam? What?
Why is that even a question? Oh my god.
We're not. This is not about Islam.
Mate,
But your rights are.
Go away.
Why are you at this rally? Ask that question, provoking like an argument, which there's no point. Why can't we just band together about feminism instead of you coming along here and starting a religious debate.
Because some people believe you should be stoned for the crime of being raped, and if you are protesting rape, you should be protesting the people that want to hurt you for being raped as well.
Why are you just letting this go past? Why are you doing this?
Why in particular did you use Islam?
Because there is a big problem with how women are treated under Islam.
Right. So you didn't first ask her whether or not she identifies as a Muslim?
No, I'm asking feminists.
Why are you not asking Muslim women about this? Why are you asking?
Well, you don't see a whole lot here, do you? Their husbands probably didn't let them come.
Oh my God! Did you just hear what she said to me? She said, I don't see a lot of Muslim women here. Their husbands didn't let them come. Dude, you're doing this for...
ignorant.
No, she's doing this for
Go
you.
and read the Quran.
Go away.
I've read passages and there's a lot more violence in the Bible, and believe me, I grew up Catholic.
That's why you see Christians running people over in the streets of London, right?
Oh my fuck!
I think that people who say that have probably not actually read the Quran and have just been told that by the media and sucked it in. And I think we should listen to Muslim women instead of white women like me and you.
You don't think white women can be Muslim?
Yeah, I think they can. But I think we should listen to Muslim women first and foremost.
I could. Maybe I'm a Muslim.
Maybe you are. I'll do it.
I think we should respect religions. We should respect women's rights.
What if religions believe women are worth less than men and should be beaten for the crime of rape?
I don't believe that at all.
You don't believe they say that?
I don't believe that should happen, but it's not for me to say what people should believe and not believe.
Actually, this is the question I've been asking. Would you rather have women's rights or Islam?
I actually don't have a problem with Islam. I don't see it as it being incompatible with women's rights.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though I can't walk into the front door of a mosque in Whitechapel?
This has come out of women trying to have their own spaces. I agree with if women want their own spaces, and in a religious context, I guess this would lead to men's spaces and women's spaces. But I don't see that as an issue.
Women's rights or Islam?
Both.
Both? You can only pick one. It's a would you rather
I don't see what the difference is between the two.
There's no difference between Islam and feminism?
I just don't think that's the kind of question that you can ask people.
A lot of people would consider Sharia law antithetical or not compatible with feminism.
I just don't think in today's world you can ask people if they would rather women's rights or Islam.
Why not?
Well, I just don't think it's a very PC question to ask people.
Women's rights or Islam?
I'm not answering.
You're not answering? Why not?
That's not. It's not an either or.
Muslim woman.
Hi, pleasure to meet you.
Muslim woman.
right.
And I'm here tonight because this is important
What's your name?
to us. Arafa.
Nice to meet you, Eropa.
Nice to meet you.
All right, we are asking a question to everyone here. Would you rather have women's rights or Islam?
That's not a choice. We can have both because actually, if you look at the history and the facts, 1400 years ago, women in Islam were granted rights that women in the West did not have.
What about your prophet Muhammad, who had an underage wife who he beat?
I don't believe that's true.
That is true. That is a fact.
As a Muslim practicing woman, I'm telling you that's not a fact.
I mean, we will put up the facts on the screen here for people, and they can read it themselves, but that did happen. So I think you need to look into your religion a little
Please
more.
do not tell me what I, as a young Muslim woman of color, need to do about my faith.
I don't care what I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. We're talking facts right
So
now.
would you be asking this to a white Muslim woman as well?
Respon yang di luar dugaan ini menunjukkan bahwa narasi ketakutan dan kebencian tidak selalu mendapat dukungan yang diharapkan, bahkan dari kelompok yang tampaknya memiliki tujuan yang sama. Lauren Shorten menjadi salah satu contoh bagaimana perbedaan pendekatan dalam memperjuangkan pandangan buruknya pada Islam justru menjadi bumerang baginya sendiri, dan dia hanya mendapatkan kritikan tajam dan kekecewaan semata. Semoga video ini bermanfaat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.